Well, you know what that means. It's request time for Lebam. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Lebam theory. It's a pretty well-known theory amongst the Gravity Falls fan base, and there are generally two opinions for it. Either it's the best theory you've ever seen, or it belongs in hell along with its creator. But what do I think? I stinking hated this theory when Veils Come Up first did a video on it. It was the stupidest thing I ever heard. Mabel having a secret twin? Yeah, okay. So apparently there's some sort of mix-up with Veil's interpretation that has set many a fan into a cloud of confusion. Why Veil didn't just change the title, I have no idea. It'd clear a few things up, but alas, we are stuck with this very confusing and misleading title. Because the original theory is Mabel's secret clone, not twin. I still have no idea why he did this. Though, I get the feeling the reason he did this may have been to cash in on the success of one of his previous video theories, Stan's secret twin. But while the theory is actually talking about the possibility of a twin, this is about Mabel somehow having a doppelganger or clone. But the point of this video is to do two things. One, clear up the confusion many a fan has of the theory, its origins, and its contents. And two, prove why I personally don't think this theory makes any sense whatsoever. I was kind of tempted to just do a rant, but that would be dumb and rude. I need to prove why I don't like it, and why many others don't, not just bash it relentlessly. Also, I do have a certain amount of respect for the creator of the theory, and I would rather not make an enemy. But the fact still remains that this theory is fundamentally flawed, and there needs to be some document out there as to why. So, without further ado, Lebam, Mabel's secret clone. Not twin. Let's start off with the origin, shall we? The creator of the theory is called the Squoo. Why the Squoo? I have no idea. But the important thing here is that he has a playlist of Lebam videos pointing out every piece of evidence for the theory. So I've decided to try and summarize the theory and all its points as quickly as possible for any newcomers to the theory. You ready? And go! The first point of evidence is found in the episode The Deep End, in which Mabel is retrieving bottles from Armando, though some of the bottles are marked Lebam rather than Mabel, leaving many to assume that he was sending a few to the aforementioned clone. Next, Mabel is seen wearing a blank sweater in a newspaper article in the episode The Hand That Rocks the Mabel, perhaps indicating that this is her clone, similar to the Pine Treeless Dipper clones. Also, when Grunkle Stan first notices the article, he says, "What the Jekyll?" as in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, a quite famous book about a man with a dangerous split personality, and is one of the most famous interpretations of split personalities in media. In this scene from The Land Before Swine, Mabel is dancing with Waddles, parodying a scene from Breakfast Club in which there was a track playing in the background titled We Are Not Alone. But the most commonly known point of this scene is the question of who is taking the pictures. The llama on the cipher wheel may indicate Lebam. This point is brought up in the episode Headhunters, where Mabel is holding up a llama sweater to a mirror. In normal proportions, the llama is facing the wrong way to match up with the wheel, but when held up to a mirror, it matches perfectly. This leads us to the next point of evidence, Lebam's physical origin. Notice the mirror in a scene of Headhunters where Stan is buying, or stealing as the case may be, cursed wax figures. What if this mirror is cursed? What if Gideon bought it at some point? What if it has the ability to clone people? And what if he cloned Mabel when he first met her in The Hand That Rocks the Mabel? In the episode Boys Crazy, Mabel is seen sitting downstairs. Her friends run up the stairs and suddenly Mabel comes up to block the door. How did she get up there? Was it actually her double sitting downstairs? And finally, in the short Mabel's Guide to Dating, we see Mabel jump cut over to a window where she is seen wearing a different color sweater. Was that actually Lebam? Okay, I think I've covered most of it. I hope. Alright, now let's go back and analyze each moment and decide whether or not it makes any sense. The first point is the most famous of all Lebam evidence. A lot of people tend to argue that this was just a simple animation mistake, and I have to agree. I mean, why would they hint her name there? With the Stan twin theory, and yeah, I'm gonna reference it a lot here, there's reason behind the name hint. It's on the license plate, indicating it may have been Stanley's car previously. With this, the name hint doesn't really make much sense. Why was Armando going to be sending a few bottles to Lebam? How does he know about her? Why did he never seem to indicate in any of his scenes that he knew Mabel's big secret or whatever? When did Mabel tell him about this anyway? Why did Lebam and him meet? Why the flying Aoshima is she called Lebam in the first place? That doesn't really sound like a name Mabel would give her very own clone. It sounds more like something a theorist would come up with, not the Queen of Silliness. Dipper named his clone Tyrone. Mabel would probably name hers, I don't know, Patrick. Because she's Mabel, so it works, don't question it. But then there's that pesky thing called actually analyzing the bottles, which the Mystery of Gravity Falls on Tumblr did. Go check them out, by the way, link in the description. Notice as one bottle goes in, marked Mabel, it comes out Lebam. So, I guess it was just a matter of the animators thinking backwards is the same thing as reflection, or making a mistake because they are under intense pressure to get things done before the fans get too impatient. Take your pick. Next, we have the blank sweater, also a well-known point of evidence. Now, I do like the idea that this is a parallel to Dipper's clone, what with the missing pine tree. Also, that part where Stan says, "What the Jekyll," that would be a really neat hint. But ask yourself, why, if she was created by the aforementioned mirror, did it have similar effects to the copier machine? They're two completely different things, different kinds of Gravity Falls magic. So why the same effect? You could just say that cloning in general can do that sort of thing, and honestly, I wouldn't argue. I don't need a complete breakdown of how cloning works. I know what suspension of disbelief is. Still something to consider, though. Okay, let's get something straight here. I do not hate the Lebam theory. I'm not that person. I think it's kind of plot hole-ish, but it's certainly not terrible. Why do I say this? Because it does manage to come up with some really cool points of evidence that I think are very clever. For example, this scene. Yeah, I think that's really cool. This is legitimately clever. I have nothing bad to say about it. At all. Well, except for the whole Lebam is taking the pictures thing. I mean, why do we have to assume anyone is taking pictures at all? It's a cartoon, guys. A fairly realistic and intelligent cartoon, but a cartoon nonetheless. Sometimes in cartoons, unexplainable stuff happens, and you just need to suspend disbelief. But this doesn't really bother me so much, so let's just move on. Okay, the Llama Mirror is another one that I actually really like. The whole origin of Lebam is really cool. Go look it up, even if I don't like the rest of the theory so much. It's a really interesting idea, and it definitely makes for some cool fan fiction. It's just the rest of it I don't like. Speaking of which, this moment to me is one of the cleverest and most ridiculous points of evidence. Why do I say this? Because I think it's really clever how they even noticed this in the first place. We should be asking ourselves questions like that. Who knows where it may lead us in discovering something new. But then you really think about it. Really, actually think about it for a second. Because, newsflash, guys, it is a freaking cartoon. It's going to do cartoonish things like have Mabel suddenly appear at the top of the stairs. But then there's also the possibility that the writers just weren't thinking at the time. Mabel needed to appear at the top of the stairs, and she did. It is a cartoon. And, well, just to get something out of the way real quick here, as for the Lebam jump cut in Mabel's Guide to Color, here's my bit. It was a jump cut. Take it from someone who knows. Sometimes when you're filming something, the filming of said thing becomes inconsistent. Sometimes you film a certain moment days after the previous moment, meaning she was wearing a different sweater. If anything, this was a jab the writers made at sloppy editing because, well, they work in television. They've made embarrassing editing mistakes before, I'm sure. Not to mention the fact that you're not supposed to be able to see her at all. They're just joking around, guys. And with all the bad editing jokes in previous shorts, I really do think this was just a joke. She filmed it another day. Enough said. Overall, how do I feel about this theory? Well, I'll tell ya. It doesn't make sense. And it just doesn't have enough evidence to support such a wild claim. And here you might argue, well, Stanley had even less evidence, and you support that one? Well, yeah, it had less evidence, but for a reason. It was a theory relating to a character's past, Stan's past. And since we rarely ever visit his past, we have less opportunities for evidence, resulting in less evidence. But still, it had just the right amount in order to be credible. Here, it takes place within the time period of every single episode we've seen. If Lebam really did exist, we would see her way more often. Plus, if this theory is correct, then you are suggesting that Mabel managed to hide a clone of herself since episode 4. Counting up to the most recent of episodes, she's been hiding her for 19 episodes. I mean, I could understand it being like a 3 or 4 episode arc or something, but for a whole season's worth of time? Not to mention, where does Lebam live? Why did Gideon clone Mabel anyway? And if he knows about Lebam like the theory suggests, then why did he never use that to get her back? I mean, think about it. Instead of going to these great lengths to steal the Mystery Shack, all he'd have to do is threaten to take away or hurt Lebam, and Mabel wouldn't have a choice. It would be so much simpler. Or how about in the season finale when the Mystery Shack was taken? Where was she then? Where would she live now that the Mystery Shack was gone? Why didn't Gideon just reveal her existence out of spite? Not to mention the biggest question of all, why was Lebam hidden in the first place? Why did Mabel feel the need to hide her? I mean, think, guys, this is Mabel, the kind of gal who'll bedazzle her own face, and the first thing she does is show her brother. This show has proven to us time and time again that Dipper's the most important person in her life, and they love each other as much as a pair of siblings even can at that age. So why hide something like this from him and everyone else? But now ask yourself not why it was hidden from the characters, but why it was hidden from us, the audience. Why is it kept secret? I mean, if you had a clone like this for one of your characters, think of the story potential you can milk from it. But really think here. Everything they've kept hidden has been kept that way for one particular reason. It pertains to the overarching narrative, the story they're trying to tell, of the secret society, Stan's past, the possible apocalypse, the author, even the time agency might be involved here. But what on earth does Mabel having a clone have to do with any of that? What does it have to do with anything at all? If it were revealed, what would they do? Why is it a mystery? What's the whole point of it? This theory was not made because someone saw a series of clues that led them to deduce this possibility. Again, with the Stan twin theory, it was probably someone noticing, hey, those glasses. Seeing that, wondering, what could that be about? And then forming a theory. And even if Stanley turns out to be wrong, you'll know something was up with those glasses. In the end, they're gonna mean something. But this is different. Totally different. This isn't a theory. It's a cool fanfic idea someone wanted to be canon. This was someone seeing something that made them think of an idea and then trying to cement that idea through various moments in the show. But then there's just this one thing that always cemented my disbelief in this theory. Mabel and Dipper are in Gravity Falls for this summer. When Alex Hirsch first came up with Gravity Falls, the first thing he thought was of him and his sister, and that's how he got Dipper and Mabel. The second was the mysterious town with an outrageous backstory. They didn't come here specifically looking for conspiracies, it just kind of happened. The whole premise of the show is that they take a trip down to a sleazy tourist trap to get some fresh air, but stumble upon a conspiracy, a mystery, a history in a crazy, insane town. The mystery surrounds them, it doesn't inhabit them. They're a couple of innocent kids. They're tied to reality. The characters we relate to because they're along for the ride as much as we are. They don't have any secrets to hide. They're looking for them. Mabel can't have a secret twin or clone or whatever. Mabel can't have a secret. Dipper and Mabel are that line you just don't cross. They're 12-year-old kids. They have nothing, absolutely nothing to hide. I'm Sarah. I'm a certified nerd. Yeah, it's my new transition. Please deal with it. And I'm really sorry, Squoo. I just don't believe in Lebam. Well, that's it for my Lebam video. I would like to say to my 20 subscribers, I'm sorry it took so long to make. I hope you enjoyed it though, and I hope anyone else, subscribed or not subscribed, enjoyed it too. I'll see you guys later.